Many and many a year ago, my wife bought me this Build-a-raptor kit from Beasts of the Mezozoic, and I still haven't assembled and painted it. So today we're gonna fix that. The kit includes parts for the Sauronitholestes, Dromaeosaurus, Atrociraptor, and Xenyanlong. Moving on. The kit contains 5 different raptor heads, 3 tails, as well as some other assorted pieces so you can make different species of raptors. But for our purposes today, we're just going to build this as the Atrociraptor. And after years of indecision, we're going to paint it like Atrociraptor Panthera from Jurassic World Dominion. I personally think that not only does Panthera have one of the best color palettes, but also one of the patterns that's going to translate into a feathered dinosaur much, much better. So we'll just pull those parts out of the box and put it together. Voila! Part of the reason I've been reluctant to paint this is it just looks so good unpainted. First things first, we're going to give this thing a base coat of Beachcomber Beige. One of the great and terrible things about the Beasts of the Mesozoic raptors is that they are just packed to the brim with articulation. This means you can put them in all kinds of fascinating dynamic poses, but it also makes it an absolute pain in the butt to get that paint in between all of those weird little joints. But we're going to give it our best shot. Once the base coat's done, I'm going to hit it with a khaki wash. This is going to get in between all of those feathers so that we can really see all of the detail on this sculpt. And it's also going to get in between those joints and help to cover up any parts that we may have missed. I'm trying to be very thorough with this wash and get it into all of the little nooks and crannies in between all of the joints and articulation points on this figure. Once the wash is done, I'm going to go ahead and dry brush on some warm buff for counter shading. I had this idea that I was also going to dry brush on the chestnut on the top of this figure, but I didn't like the way it ended up looking, so we're going back to the airbrush. Since Panthera doesn't actually have feathers in Jurassic World Dominion, I had to start making judgment calls on where I was and wasn't going to be applying the chestnut color. The feathers on the Atrociraptor's wing cover a lot of area, and that's a lot of surface area to leave unpainted. Once the chestnut was applied, it was time to go in and work on that signature stripe. For this, I used some burnt umber that I darkened significantly with black before applying. And I also had to make another judgment call about how far I wanted to extend the pattern down the wing. I decided on this far. After that, I continued the stripe on down the body and the leg. I'm trying to adapt this stripe pattern to the feathers on this animal, but I don't paint a lot of feathered dinosaurs, so it's a new experience. The stripe that runs horizontally down the length of Panthera's body isn't just a dark stripe. It's actually got a white layer in between, sandwiched kind of like an Oreo cookie. But we'll get to that in a minute. In the meantime, I'm trying to figure out how to do the patterns on this tail because, unlike the Atrociraptors from the film, this Atrociraptor has a nice fluffy feathered tail. Okay, looks like we're back to the stripes. So I'm doing the chocolate cookie layers first, and after the chocolate cookie layers, then we'll go in and add the cream filling. But I'm not done with that chocolate color yet, so we're going to go in and add the markings on the face as well as some stripes on the back of the neck. And again, working around feather texture is a little bit of a new experience for me. If we look at the colors on Atrociraptor Panthera in the film, he's got some markings on the face and the back of the neck, and then they kind of fade into random spots and dots along the torso. So while we're playing with that dark burnt umber, we're going to try to add some of those spots and dots. And now it's time to go in and add that cream layer into our Oreo stripe. This part is pretty straightforward. I'm just taking a toothpick and adding some of that toasted marshmallow between the dark layers on the stripe. I kid you not, the color of this paint is toasted marshmallow. I'm not just constantly thinking about food, although some cookies milk do sound pretty good about now. Once the toasted marshmallow is applied all the way to the jawline, we'll go in and take it down the tail. The Atrociraptor's tails in the film are both unfeathered as well as much thicker than the actual Atrociraptor's tails, which, while they're feathered and kind of fluffy, they're also pretty flat. So continuing this stripe and this pattern down the tail is a little bit more of a challenge. So instead of doing it along the side of the tail, we're kind of doing it on the top of the tail. Just seems like the only logical way to make it work. I'm going to go in and do some dry brushing with toasted marshmallow between the darker stripes on the wing now. And then we're going to grab the airbrush and load it in with some of that dark burnt umber. And we're going to go over a lot of the stripes and patterns that we've already done, particularly on the face, the neck, and then that lateral stripe down the body. And as usual, just going over the stripes that we've already made with the airbrush is just going to kind of help to blend it in with the rest of the markings and just make it seem more natural. If you have a little bit more patience than me, you can achieve the same effect by dry brushing, but I lack patience. So it's a good thing I own an airbrush. Once I'm done with the darker pattern, I'm going to reload the airbrush with a combination of chestnut and territorial beige. I'm going to go ahead and go over most of the chestnut with this color, and that's just going to take down the intensity of the chestnut a little bit and make it a little bit duller. Once that's done, I'm going to mix up some classic caramel with some metallic red and hit the inside of that mouth. Once again off screen, I'm adding a little more metallic red so I can hit the tongue and make it stand out just a little bit more from the rest of the inside of the mouth. With the inside of the mouth done, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit those teeth with some more toasted marshmallow. You can't really see it here because my camera placement sucks, but I'm painting the eyeballs. Panthera's eyes are actually a pretty bright yellow, and they have a slit pupil, but because we're trying to make this a little more realistic, he's getting a round pupil. And I'm just going in and painting the claws with a gloss black. Kudos to Beast of the Mezozoic because the talons on this thing look like they are straight off of an owl or an eagle. Okay, we're going to go ahead and paint the base now. Golden Sunset. Once the Golden Sunset base is done, we're going to hit it with a wash made from that same darkened burnt umber that we used for the stripes. This is the really icky part. I usually don't see this color and consistency when it's not splattered on the toilet of a gas station restroom. Now that that's over, we'll hit it with a dry brush of territorial beige. Once this base is done, our Atrociraptor will be ready to chase Owen Grady through the streets of Morocco. I hope you all enjoyed the video, but whether you did or didn't, feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and feel free to tell your friends about it. And with this raptor done, I will see you guys in the next video.